Hello, and welcome to part 5 of my GameMaker Basics tutorial series. My name is Alex, also known as Robert, and in this video I want to talk about parent objects. So what is a parent object? A parent object is really just any object. What makes it special is its children objects. See, a child is an object and it can have a parent associated to it. And so what makes parent objects useful? It makes them useful because those children objects can inherit the attributes and the code from the parent. So let me demonstrate what that means and why it's useful. What I did already is I imported 3 new sprite graphics into my game. Brick gray, brick red, and brick orange are just 3 graphics of brick walls. And I'm gonna go ahead and create really quickly objects that use these new sprites. All right, cool. So I have these 3 new objects: brick gray, brick red, and brick orange. And let's go ahead and add them to our room so we can see how they work. So yeah, we have an RPG, right? An RPG game, and our hero, he bumps into the rocks and he can't move. However, these rocks aren't gonna be the only thing that he can bump into, right? We're gonna also have like a castle. Actually, you can just paint these with Alt. Right, we're gonna have a castle like that. And then later on, we're gonna have another village that uses these color bricks. Very pretty. And then later we're gonna run into a little house in the forest and it's gonna have these color bricks. Like so. Let's go ahead and run our game to demonstrate what's going on here. So we have these different objects. Right now, of course, I'm bumping into the rocks because we're checking in the player object that if you're next to a rock, you can't move into it. We haven't written any code for these other sprites, for these other objects, so of course you can walk into them. So you may be thinking, okay, simple. Simply copy the code that's in the hero object that's checking for the rock and just copy this, right? And instead of checking for the rock object, check for the brick object, right? Brick red. And that's technically gonna work. If you run our game now our hero object is using that place meeting function for the rock. Okay, yeah, I can't walk through it. And the red brick, okay, yeah, I can't walk through it. Cool. So I have code for the brick and I have code for the rock and for the brick, but not for these bricks, right? Because this is a different object. Okay, well, that's obviously a simple solution. Just copy the code again for the other color bricks, the gray bricks, and then copy it again for the orange bricks. Okay, well, what if later I add trees that you can't walk through in a bush or some kind of other obstacle like water? Like, I'm gonna have tons of objects that I can't walk through. Am I gonna have to copy this code over and over? Look at all this repeated code. This isn't very easily maintainable. What if later on I need to change this place meaning slightly for all of them? Now I'm gonna have to change each one of these place meetings individually because I want to make a little change, and that's going to take forever. It's difficult to manage, and it's just ugly to look at. This is where the power of parent objects come in. Because if you think about it, what do all these objects have in common? Well, they're all, acting as walls. They're all acting as, impassable objects that the player can't walk through. They have a shared attribute or a shared use. Okay, so how can we leverage that? Using parent objects, of course. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new object, and this is gonna be, a generic object that we don't actually ever have to put in the room, but it's still gonna be useful. We're just gonna call it object wall. We don't have to give it a sprite, we don't have to do nothing to it. What we do have to do though is go into our rock or go into any object that we want to act like a wall and see where it says parent right here. Just click parent and assign it that object wall object that we just made. Same for the brick gray object, parent. No parent, change it to object wall. The brick red, parent, object wall, and our orange brick. Boom. They all have now a parent. And in fact, if we go into the object wall, GameMaker makes it really nice, and it'll tell you it's children objects right there. Children, these are all the objects that have designated children for this object. So that's cool. It's a nice way to double check. And if we go into the code now for the hero, we can go ahead and delete all this code that's checking for the bricks, and we can now modify this object rock and instead simply check for the object wall. And so now GameMaker, whenever the hero bumps into any child of the object wall, it's gonna act the same way, like their walls. So we're gonna run the game now, and even though we only have this one check for one object, as you can see, I'm not walking through this rock, I'm not walking through this orange brick, I'm not walking through the gray, and I'm not walking through the red. They're all behaving like their parent object, the wall. And in the player's code, I'm checking for wall objects. So boom. Later on, if I want to add some kind of tree object that I want to act just like a wall, object tree, and we add in a sprite that is a tree, make it look like a tree, boom, we go into the room, we drag in our tree. We don't have to add any other code. We need to code nothing special. All we gotta do is, of course, assign a parent to this tree object like we did before, run the game, and boom, can now walk through the tree, and I didn't have to code nothing because I already coded the wall object. And this tree doesn't need to behave any different from these walls. So by assigning it the parent makes it act just like a wall. Isn't that cool? It makes our code a lot more efficient, a lot more compact, a lot more easier to manage. And of course, you can have lots of different kinds of parents. We're gonna have in our game probably lots of mana potions, health potions, keys, lots of things that you can pick up. And so that would be, we would have to code logic for the player to like touch the object and pick it up. But instead of having to code that logic for each individual item, the key and the mana potion and the health potion, instead we just have to code an object called like item pickup. And we just code that one time, and all the items are gonna behave in the same way. They're all gonna be able to be interacted with and picked up as long as we make them children of a parent object. So that's gonna be it for this video. It's a shorter video, but it's a really strong concept and it can really help you out in making your game. So as always, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, and I will see you next week for the next tutorial video. Thank you.